My greatest obstacle right now is being able to support myself. It is hard for me just to survive.
What did you think you'd be doing at 66?
Oh, I would hope to be retired.
And what are you doing at 66?
I'm working my butt off.
No savings, no 401k, not even enough to cover an emergency. She sold her home and with 2 other women bought a smaller one, living together to save money.
Thank you very much. How has that been?
Well, it's been a matter of life and death.
Roughly half of all Americans ages 55 to 66 have nothing saved for retirement.
Unfortunately, more baby boomers and Gen Xers will not be able to retire until their late 70s or early 80s. And you probably work with someone just like her in your office who cannot simply afford to retire anytime soon. Maybe you want to take their position because you want a new position in your company, or you want to get promoted to their position, and they've been in that spot for about 30 or 40 years. They're not going anywhere anytime soon. They just don't have the financial capability to be able to leave. Or maybe they're a part of your team and they just don't have the same vigor or drive that you do anymore because they just do not have the energy because of their age. In fact, the number of those who have continued to work past 65 has quadrupled since the 1980s. Now, almost 20% of Americans 65 or older are employed, nearly double the share of those who were working 35 years ago. In total, there are around 11 million Americans 65 or older who are working today, accounting for 7% of all wages and salaries paid by U.S. employers. In 1987, they only made up 2%. Today, we're going to dive into why baby boomers and Gen Xers can't simply retire anytime soon. And if you happen to like today's video, go ahead, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and let's get into it.
Kitty, 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 kitty.
My name is Olivia Marino Carlson. I'm 70 years old. I live in Santa Fe, New Mexico. I cannot afford to retire. I live off of Social Security, which does not pay all my bills. That's why I'm looking for work.
That's horrible. At 70 years old, she can't afford to pay her bills, and she's worked most of her life. She should be able to relax, hang out with her grandchildren, be knitting or gardening, but instead she has to be stressed out about how she's going to live on a day-to-day basis because she can't afford to pay for necessities. Social Security benefits for New Mexico retirees. The average benefit amount that they receive per month is only $865.12 per month. That's it. The average mortgage payment for a home that was purchased about 20 to 30 years ago is at least around $2,000. So that means that her mortgage is just around or maybe even over the amount that she receives for Social Security each month. And keep in mind, she still has to pay her utilities, probably some medical bills and other things that she needs.
My husband was a mechanic. He developed MS. I took care of him until he passed away. I was working retail, lifting boxes. It was very hard. I'm going to the library to use the internet to look for work. I did not think that being 70 would be like this. I'm asking if there's any positions or work positions available here.
We don't have anything open right now, but keep an eye on it.
I put in an application here at Walgreens. I haven't heard back, so I'm going to check to see what's going on. They don't have an update on my application.
Let's be honest, they probably took one look at her and thought that she's a lot older. She looks a little bit weaker, especially since she's walking with a cane. She's walking a bit slow, that she's not going to be able to keep up with the fast pace of being a cashier in that store or even in the library. She's just not going to have the energy to be able to move as quickly as they want her to. There's this article that I reviewed from business magazine Greenville. The name of the article is called, "Should Companies Really Hire Older Workers?" Many think that older workers are slower, less technically competent, untrainable, less engaged, and generally too old-fashioned to make it in the workplace of today. They are relics with nothing new to contribute. The truth is, older workers can be a great resource to many organizations. Specifically, older workers often have very good skill sets based upon their years of experience. These are not just job skills. They often have those soft skills employers claim to desire. They are generally reliable and less likely to jump from employer to employer than younger workers. Now, of course, there are going to be a lot of older boomers and Gen Xers that are not going to be technically competent. They're not going to be as engaged because they're more exhausted, and they may be a little bit antiquated in the way they do things. But I think nowadays there are more of them that are more open to being trained and learning new skills because they kind of have to. If they need to pay their bills, that means they are there for a reason. They have no choice but to work. They need that job. So therefore, I think they're going to be more receptive to learning new skills and doing things. Now, they may not be able to lift heavy boxes. In Walgreens, where she was applying, they may need someone to stock the store shelves. And that's a job that she might not be able to do. Honestly, she is a lot older and she is not in the best shape. But she could do other jobs like be a cashier or be some sort of greeter.
Tell them again, Mr. John. What
I'm
is
on the dope.
When you on the dope, Mr. John?
Rain or sleet or snow, I'm on the dope.
You do your job.
I do my job.
And you do it well.
And I try to do it well.
No, you don't try. You do it.
I do it. That's all.
That is something that she could definitely help them with. And hopefully they'll be open to hiring her to do that type of job, or some other corporation or company will in the future.
Greatest obstacle right now is being able to support myself. It is hard for me just to survive. I wish people in power would think more with their heart. It is hard for me to accept that I'm not able to enjoy the rest of my life because I have worked hard all my life.
We did everything right. We worked hard, we paid our bills, we raised our children the right way. So can somebody explain why in my 50s, my husband and I, we're living paycheck to paycheck? Retirement seems so completely out of reach. At this point, I feel like I'm going to be working till I'm 80 years old. I get a couple of years that I can sit back and relax. I'm so done with feeling stuck and definitely looking for a way out.
When are the boomers going to retire so we can get full-time jobs? They're not. The two oldest people in my job are in their 60s, and within the past decade, they filed bankruptcy. So literally in their entire lifetime, they never learned how to get good with money. They only use their income for their expenses. And it doesn't matter how big their paycheck is. It could be $100,000 a month. They only learn to use their income for their expenses. So they are check to check every month. You need to not wait on boomers. You need to learn to use your income for savings, investing, and then expenses. That's the only way to give yourself a shred of freedom. Financial education is the key. So start living on less money right meow.
It's not just baby boomers. It's millennials, it's Gen Xers, it's Gen Zers. They don't know how to manage their money properly. The majority do not. They live paycheck to paycheck. They don't seek out the knowledge to be able to learn how to manage their money properly. And then all of a sudden, when they're in their 60s and 70s and it's time to retire, they wonder why they don't have any money. No, our public school system does not really teach us how to manage our money properly, but it's on us to learn it for ourselves so that way we can be financially free and stable. When it comes to retirement, there were also a lot of key shifts that happened in the 1980s that affect us today in 2025. Before the 1980s, defined benefit pension plans where employers manage and guaranteed retirement payments were the primary way American workers planned for retirement. The 1978 Revenue Act. Now, this is a crucial legislation that established Section 401k, which we all know of today as the usual retirement plan that people have. Section 401k of the Internal Revenue Code allowed for pre-tax employee contributions to retirement plans, a key innovation for the new 401k model. Early adoption into the 1980s, the early 1980s saw the first implementations of the 401k plans with widespread adoption beginning in the middle of the decade and continuing to the 1990s. By the 1990s, this situation had reversed with 401ks and other defined contribution plans becoming the predominant form of retirement plan in the private sector, replacing pensions. Key shifts that affect all of us now. Employee choice. The 401k provided employees with more control and choice over retirement savings compared to the employer-controlled pension. Unlike pensions, 401ks are not guaranteed payouts. Instead, retirement benefits are based on the performance of the employee's investments. Now, with a pension, you get a guaranteed amount that you would get each month, a paycheck that pretty much will come in the mail or be directly deposited into your bank account. And that's what you would get for the rest of your life, unless your pension plan has some sort of stipulation in it where it has a cost of living adjustment, where it will increase over time. But most pension plans do not have that. It will be the same amount that you get when you leave at 60, 65, or 70, depending on the occupation that you have, because with firefighters, police officers, and certain other jobs, you can leave way before 65 and start to receive your pension. But it usually will not increase over time. So there is an issue with pension plans because of inflation. It may hurt people who have pension plans in the long run, but most people can usually live off of pension plans with no problem because Social Security will kick in and help them with their cost of living adjustments. Now, the performance of the 401k plan, those investments that you put that money into, whichever companies you decide to invest it in, it's based on how well they do. So you may actually lose some of your investment over time. But most 401ks will increase over time with the natural flow of the stock market because most companies do better over time. But again, it's not guaranteed like a pension. There's not a guaranteed amount. When the pandemic hit, a lot of people noticed that their 401k retirement plans had pretty much plummeted. The money that they had invested in these companies had plummeted at the time. Now, most of them went back up, but a lot of people were not able to retire because the amount of money that was in there had decreased in value. This also shifted employer preference because businesses found 401ks appealing because they shifted the responsibility for retirement savings from the employer to the employee, reducing the employer's financial obligations. Yes, the good thing is that most employers will contribute and sometimes they will match the amount that you contribute to your 401k plan. But at the same time, you are essentially responsible for your own retirement, not the employer. Versus with a pension plan, the employer is responsible. As long as you continue to work there and do your job, they basically will take care of you for the rest of your life. With a 401k plan, it's all in your hands. And if you are not financially literate, then you may not contribute to your 401k plan, or you may contribute just a tiny amount. And then by the time you get older, you start thinking about it. Well, it's a little bit too late to get that compound interest that you lost in your younger years. Also, The downside of a 401k plan is that there is a limit. Every year, the IRS sets a limited amount that you can contribute to a 401k plan. So even though we can set aside a certain amount of money to come out of our paychecks to put into it, there's a limit. We cannot put as much as we want into it to try to make sure that we have an even better retirement or a better nest egg for our future. This is why a lot of baby boomers and Gen Xers don't have anything saved for retirement. They saw their parents having pensions and being taken care of for the rest of their life. 401k plans are still new to a lot of people. They don't understand that it's really essentially in their own hands to make sure that their retirement is set for their future.
People talk about retirement like it's some kind of guarantee. Like as soon as you turn 65, you're promised this life of ease and comfort. But for many of us, it couldn't be further from the truth. Because when you've spent decades working only to watch your savings shrink and your bills piling up and your body wearing down, retirement is hardly a reward. It becomes a privilege that too many can't afford. And nobody wants to talk about the shame in that. The way it makes you question your worth. And all those years now all of a sudden mean nothing. But you're not invisible and you're not lazy. You're living in a world that doesn't value experience the way it should.
It's tough because so many baby boomers and Gen Xers did everything they were told, worked hard, saved what they could, and yet retirement still feels so out of reach. Between the decline of pensions, the rise of 401ks, and not always having the financial tools they needed, it's no wonder that so many of them are struggling with this reality. I'd really love to hear from you if you're a baby boomer or a Gen Xer who's still working and not sure when or if retirement will ever be possible. Please share your experience with us in the comments. And if this video resonated with you, give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, and most importantly, take care of yourselves. I'll see you in the next video.